Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Door to Deceit. I'm your host Ash, and I'm happy you're here. Thank y'all so much for supporting the pod. We're growing every episode, so I hope y'all enjoy. This one is actually pretty short, but not so sweet. It's super recent and a little close to home actually, so let's get into it. Our story begins in Los Angeles, California, with Danielle Johnson, known to myself and the Crystal Girlies on Twitter as Mystic Lipstick or Ayoka. Now, most of y'all don't know me IRL, but if you do, you know I'm into spiritual stuff like meditation and tarot and crystals and shit like that. My introduction to it actually came to me when I was in the middle of a crisis, girl, like straight turmoil. I was 25 and I think I was going on 26, so I was facing that reality that like, oh my God, I'm almost 30, my life's over, blah, blah, blah. I had just graduated not too long ago with my master's in a subject that I did not give one flying fuck about, and I was really facing the reality that like I'd wasted so much of my life and gotten in so much damn debt doing stuff that I generally just did not give one fuck about. And I was just really in the middle of like a quarter life crisis. And I'm gonna be honest, like spirituality and the metaphysical and stuff, it gave me something to believe in. It gave me a practice. It gave me daily stuff to do. It gave me meditation. It gave me, the ability to like learn different parts of myself that I hadn't learned growing up. I'm not gonna lie, it came at a time where I needed structure, and it gave me a sense of structure without doing too much. It gave me a sense of purpose. It made me feel like there was something bigger than me that I was working towards. There was a bigger picture for me to look at rather than just like my everyday day-to-day bullshit. And ultimately it connected me back to God in a way that I remembered, and like that kind of reminded me of my childhood because I grew up in church. So I can't lie. It was good to me. It's still good to me. I still practice spirituality, just not as heavily. And the big thing for me during that time was it opened an avenue to some income because I didn't have any and nobody was hiring me because I had no experience. And I ended up opening up a little shop. In fact, maybe it's still open to this day. Look me up, The Royal Service on Etsy if you want to read it or whatever. I'm just saying. But no, like I've definitely calmed down in my devotion to my practices and stuff like that. But I do still believe in the good that spirituality can bring into your life. I believe that metaphysical stuff can definitely bring good shit into your life as well. But you have to be looking for that. You have to be believing in that. And some people don't. Now, of course, with anything, the metaphysical is no different. It has negatives, it has positives. Some of the negatives, of course, you can get into like a self-fulfilling prophecy type thing. You can get into a lot of analysis paralysis because spirituality offers you a lot of blanket reasonings for why stuff has happened to you. Like, oh, well, if you have this in your blah, blah, blah house, this explains why you have bad luck with money, or this explains why you have bad luck with men, or whatever it is. And it can also put you in a space of confirmation bias, which is not a good space to be at in general, but definitely not a good space when you're dealing with things that you believe to be benevolent. So a lot of times it can put you in a place where you feel like, oh, well, this is inevitable, so why even try to stop it? Or this is something that I shouldn't have to even deal with, so I'm just gonna give it to the spirits that be, or whatever the fuck. A lot of times it puts you in a position of stagnancy. So that's something you have to be careful about with spirituality. It's something that has made me personally kind of pull back a little bit from it, is because a lot of times you end up relying on it almost like a crutch, where it's like, okay, well, everything's gonna work out because I say my affirmations every day. When in reality, girl, if you would just get up 20 minutes earlier and do XYZ different, your life would be different. Like it's shit like that that'll end you up in a loop when it comes to spirituality. So, to each their own, but everybody, I suggest use anything with caution. So when it came to the metaphysical for me personally, I know when I first discovered it, I was obsessed. Like I was watching 1,000,005 pick a card videos on YouTube a day. I was fucking buying my own cards so I could start doing my own readings. I was learning what the cards meant, etc., etc. It was a lot. I dove headfirst into everything about it. I started following different psychics and metaphysical content creators that I felt resonated with me online, and Danielle actually happened to be one of them. And I'm not gonna lie, honestly, I really enjoyed her content. I know that sounds a little crazy considering, you know, what she's done or whatever, but at the time when I was fucking with her, she wasn't doing all that. Clearly, like, it was cool, you know. Her content really resonated with me, and I like that she posted weekly astrology insights. I thought those were cool. So I would actually send them to my friends. Like, I put my friends on her, which is so crazy to think about, considering my best friend hit me up and she's like, bitch, did you see what the hell happened? And I was like, girl, this is crazy. But yeah, she would post little, you know, weekly astrology insights, and I really enjoyed them. I sent them to my friends. I, you know, thought she was cool. Like, from her normal Twitter chatter and stuff, she seemed chill. And to top it all off, she was close to my age and she was successfully making the metaphysical work for her. And at the time when I followed her, that was something I really wanted. So she would sell stuff like tarot readings, channeling, and mass candle lighting not vigils, but rituals. She would do those pretty much every like different phase of the moon, especially new moons and full moons. I remember seeing those a ton on her page. And I almost got in one time, but I was like, nah, girl, I could put this money towards something else. And low key now I'm kind of glad I did, because girl, not you doing all this foolishness. We ain't got to that yet. We have not got to that yet. I ended up following her for almost 3 years. Then in like 2022, her post started to get a little too, I don't know how to say this, like above my pay grade. Like just kind of out of my wheelhouse, really. So, okay. For me, at least this is the way that I do it. When you create metaphysical content, in my brain, I put you in one of two categories. Either you're a part of the quote unquote normals, right? So these are the people that are most like me. They're just kind of interested in the occult or astrology or tarot or whatever the fuck it is. They're just kind of interested. They dabble. They might do a reading here or there. Not too deep. Then we have the quote unquote others, right? And these are the people that be talking about galactic brides and being Palladians and star seeds and being from other dimensions, and there's a lion gate and like just a whole lot of that's a little too far for me, baby. Like, even when I'm high, that's a little too far for me. But you know, around this time, I had started to unfollow any creator that was doing all of that, and any creator that was making all these like doom and gloom predictions on a timeline about the collective and all that shit. Y'all gotta go, because if it's one thing I can't stand, it's a bitch who want to come down and bring down my vibe. And like, I cannot tell you how many times I got on Twitter and people were like, oh, such and such is coming for the collective. Oh, for the Virgos, blah, blah, blah is happening, blah, blah. And it's like, when you're already going through stuff, or if you have a bad day or whatever, like, the last thing I want to do is get on Twitter where I come to laugh and kiki and see this scary ass doom and gloom ass shit. Y'all hoes gotta go. So I cleared out a bunch of people, and she just so happened to be one of the people who got the axe. Now, fast forward to the eclipse we just had a few days ago, and imagine my surprise when a day later I hear news that not only has Danielle passed away, but she also took her entire family out with her. At the time of her passing, for days, Danielle's posts on Twitter had been getting more and more erratic. She genuinely saw the apocalypse as this like end time, as this day of reckoning almost, and she was scared. And honestly, I think that she was kind of scaring her followers as well. Of course, everyone tries to put on a brave face because they want to bootlick and be like, we believe in you, you know, we know that you're telling the truth. And honestly, maybe they really did think she was telling the truth, but I really hope none of them followed in her footsteps, because, honey, oh my gosh, one of her final tweets said in all caps, wake up, the apocalypse is here. Everyone who has ears, listen. Your time to choose what you believe is now. If you believe a new world is possible for the people, retweet now. There is power in choice. There's power in choice. Repost to make the choice for the collective. So apparently, I guess she was under this thought process that, you know what, actually, I'm not even gonna try to make no sense of that. I don't know what the fuck was going on, to be honest, but it I guess, caused her or helped contribute to her ending the life of herself and her fucking family. So honestly, fuck whatever she was thinking, to be real. The day of the eclipse, Danielle and her child's father, Jalen Chaney, allegedly got into a verbal altercation. It was around 3:40 a.m. when the argument occurred. Now, no shade, but that is right in the middle of the witching hour. But I digress. The argument escalated to Danielle becoming aggressive and apparently murderous as she ended up stabbing Jalen to death. He was only 29 years old. Neighbors noticed the front door of their apartment was open at around 7:30 a.m. and called the police, and they ended up discovering not only Jalen's body, but also a bloody knife and some of Danielle's occult items. So they found like tarot cards and feathers and shit like that. By this point, it was an hour later, and Danielle had fled the scene with her 2 kids in tow. As she sped down the 405 freeway, Danielle pushed both her 8-month-old and her 9-year-old out of the moving vehicle. Moments later, Danielle herself flew down a Redondo Beach road going over 100 miles an hour and slammed her car into a tree. Now, when I heard the news, I was totally shocked. It felt like a Final Destination scene was like playing out in my head of everything that happened, and it was truly awful. This is the first time that anything like this has happened to someone that I quote unquote knew, and obviously I say that very loosely, but it just goes to show you literally do not know people, especially people on the internet. It's not like I thought I knew this woman, but you know how you kind of feel like you have a feel for someone's character via how they interact with other people, how they interact just in general, how they project themselves to the world, who they portray themselves to be, who you kind of catch them slipping into in their, quiet moments where they think nobody's looking type thing. You think you catch those moments when it comes to people. And I mean, you just never know what's going on in somebody's mind. You really just never know. Because here we have this woman who's beautiful as all hell, and for all intents and purposes, she's smart, she's capable, etc., right? But she, seems a little eccentric at best, and she has just killed her partner, her baby, and herself in the blink of an eye. The 9-year-old luckily survived and was taken to the hospital for moderate injuries from being pushed from the car, but what a life she has to fucking live now. What a huge ass burden she now has to carry on her little bitty back and on her little bitty shoulders. The weight of knowing that your mom, the mother who brought you into this world, she saw fit to try to take you out of it. That is just, it literally just makes me so fucking sad for her. I pray for that little girl, that she finds some peace and some understanding, and that she reminds herself every single day, or someone reminds her every single day, that what her mom did is not a reflection of her. It was just her mom battling her own demons. And, I'm not gonna lie, the media is kind of making it seem like it's some crazy spiritual thing, or like the eclipse and her fears surrounding it, had some kind of impact. And I'm gonna be real, maybe it did play a part, but what I see with my armchair detective eye, allegedly, is a woman who went too far, and she ended up killing her partner, only for her to realize that she did not want the consequences of her actions. So she decided to take herself out and her children with her, because she would not want them to be here without her, and she wouldn't want them to have to bear the burden of, their mom being a killer. Mind you, this is a fate that she ended up dealing to her oldest daughter anyway, but allegedly, I'm not trying to get sued, and this case is real fresh, but it just blew my mind. Honestly, I needed a quick case to, shake on out, and this one literally fell into my lap because, I'm on vacation right now as y'all listen, as I speak. You feel me? Your girl is on vacay. So I was not trying to think about none of this scary ass shit. And I didn't want to think about it when I got back either. So I just made sure to, push one out for y'all real quick. And to be honest, this one fell, like I said, right into my freaking lap. RIP for real, because that is fucking crazy. On a serious note, I feel absolutely awful for her daughter. She is the survivor of an awful tragedy. And I just pray she has a really good support system around her, because damn. And I mean, as for the case, obviously with this one, there was no trial or anything like that. So I'll just leave y'all with this. Be careful with the media that you're consuming. Have discernment when you're choosing who to follow, and make sure that their practices and their intentions line up with your own. And do not be afraid to hit that unfollow button if your views change or if their views change. Because as people, it's our right, it's our prerogative to change. We change every single day, whether we, big ways or little ways, right? So I feel like it's important for you to prioritize your peace and your mental health and your sanity. Okay, reach out if you're feeling weird or you have weird thoughts or whatever. Talk to somebody you love. Do not be afraid to ask for help or to offer help. So that's it. Y'all be careful out there and stay vigilant. All right, I'm out of here. Thank y'all so much for listening, and I really hope that you are leaving here having learned some lessons, and if not, maybe go back and listen again. I'll see y'all next time, and hey, do not forget to lock that door behind me. You never know what could come crawling in.